Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games. Kelly Hinkle from Broad Street Hockey joining me for this postgame show. That was 50 minutes of Colorado just kind of toying with the Flyers, controlling the game. It was a low-event game for the most part. But those final 10 minutes, the Flyers made one hell of a push, scored a couple of goals, led to at least an entertaining finish. But I think, Kelly, the story of this game, the three Colorado goals. Makar from McKinnon and Taves. Makar from Middlestat and Rantanen. Middlestat from Rantanen and Drouin. I just named all of Colorado's best players.
They're all very good.
The Avs, came in trying to find consistency. We talked about that in the pregame. They came in 500 as well. They were 9-9-0 in their first 18. But we saw one of those up-close looks we get every now and then of what it means to have elite talent. I wouldn't say the Avs were awesome tonight. They didn't come out oh, my God, this is a Stanley Cup contending team. No. Aleksei Kolosov held his own. The Flyers were on their heels a lot. They made some real boneheaded mistakes, canceled out two of their own power plays with high sticking penalties, couple of opportunities missed the net, but it was really just, there's no stopping Cale Makar. You can try to get in his way, you can try to slow him down, but ultimately, you're going to make one mistake, and you have to have the firepower to answer back, and the Flyers just clearly don't. Makar scored as many goals as the entire Flyers team did tonight.
He did, and the first two that he scored, the second one got taken back, but, he still scored it. Just identical goals.
Yeah.
Just in the same spot, in the slot, just...
And then he gets
He's
one...
just real good. Sometimes there's just players that are, you just have to acknowledge it. There's nothing I can do about
He's better than every player we have.
Every single player that we have. So it's just
And they have three of those guys.
Yeah. It's one of those games where it's just
That's before the third goal. Before the third goal, I did that, just named the guys. I was the worst player I just named was Casey Middlestat, who would be this team's 1C. He would be. And that's what we're looking at right now with this team. They're going to lose games like this. Good fight at the end. It was good to see. And the two guys who scored, Owen Tippett and Tyson Foerster, badly needed those goals. This is back-to-back games with a goal for Tyson Foerster. Owen Tippett hadn't scored in 5 games. His last goal was against Tampa. So he needed this one, and they're making a big deal now, not just about the stick, but the color of the tape.
He was trying. I respect it. As a person who's completely
you try
insane
stuff, man. Yeah.
With superstitions, these are the moves that you have to make. You got to change your stick color. You probably put on your socks different. You ate a different meal. You're taking your nap. He's probably doing all kinds of things. And finally, whatever weird combination of stuff he's doing worked. Good for him. It
did. And I really hope, because these are two of the guys. We talked last year going into the season. Okay, what if, and we played out a bunch of different scenarios. Yeah. And it's what if the Flyers are decent, but it's kind of Couturier's back, Carter Hart plays well, Sanheim's good, Konechny's good. It's okay, but that's not really the guys we need doing it for the long term. It's good that, and listen, Couturier, Sanheim, Konechny, they're all going to be here. They're signed forever. We need them to at least be something. But it is guys like Tippett, Foerster, Farabee. They're the ones who have to be doing stuff because they are that wave, that next wave of dudes. And it's been a little frustrating to start this season that we haven't really been seeing it out of them, at least not consistently at all. Joel Farabee has turned it on a little bit the last few games. It seems like he's close to breaking out. He made some plays early in this game that led to some chances. Owen Tippett, I don't know, his ice time, it seemed like it was up and down tonight, but ultimately I thought he came away, all right, this is something to build on again for him. And Tyson Foerster, I think he's been building the last few games. He has looked considerably better. That's what they need is, listen, a regulation loss to the Colorado Avalanche. That's not like they're supposed to lose to the Avs. That's just the way it is. But if a couple of these guys can start kind of get going, I guess that's a good sign.
So my only hesitation is like I feel like we had this exact conversation specifically about Owen Tippett.
Yeah.
The last goal
every time he scores,
where it's like, all right, here we go. Now it's happening. Floodgates. Goal scorers are streaky. Let's go. If I don't see anything out of him on Wednesday against the Canes, like I'm still out. Like I'm just getting very annoyed with it's Owen Tippett specifically for me that's driving me crazy. So I really need him to bring it on Wednesday as well. Like he's got to string 2 games. Like that's all I'm asking for. String 2 games together where you score a goal, and maybe I'll believe you're coming out of this. But right now, I'm still a little bit hesitant to believe that he's pulling it together.
Yeah, I mean, everyone scores now and then. You know, you play those number of minutes, like I always
Even
call.
Nick Deslauriers gets a goal.
He had that one last year.
Yeah.
Somehow, Sean Couturier didn't get an assist on it. It boggles the mind. But, yeah, I mean, everyone scores now and then. It happens. But he does need to have – he just needs to get on one of those streaks, and he has to show us he can maintain a high level of play even when he's not scoring. Like, that was the thing with Owen Tippett to start the season is he looked like himself.
Yes.
The puck just wasn't going in. And it's like, oh, well, it's Owen Tippett. He'll get it going, and then he'll have 10 goals in 15 games, and we'll be ready to go. It just hasn't happened that way yet, and there seems to have been a little bit of that step back into, when he's not scoring, he's not making anything happen.
What is he doing? Yes.
And he needs to keep this up.
He
really
has one
looking
job.
forward to that. But I do want to talk about someone who I thought played a very strong game tonight. Aleksei Kolosov.
I thought he was pretty good.
Ends up stopping 26 of 29 for an .897 save percentage. Again, league average is like 900 right now. So he played statistically an average game. And when you look at the talent disparity on the ice, he kept them in it for at least the first half of this one.
Yeah.
2 Makar goals, a third that was waved off. But, he did get bumped a little. Maybe want to see him battle through that a little bit more. But ultimately, it didn't count.
Yeah.
But the one Makar one, the best scoring defenseman in the league is alone in the slot, basically 1-on-0 with the goalie. Shouldn't let that happen. He's going to score every time. The other Makar goal is a double deflection off of Foerster and Sealer. Tough to stop.
Yes.
And the Middlestat goal, he makes a save on Rantanen, but Middlestat's there to put home the rebound. Yeah. Tough to fault anything we saw out of Aleksei Kolosov tonight.
No, and I feel like we've said this before about these guys, him and Fedotov. Like, obviously you want better than this, but bare minimum what you need out of your backups is to give your team a chance to win. And Kolosov absolutely did that tonight.
Certainly.
If the Flyers had figured out how to score a goal prior to minute 50 of the hockey game, they might have been in this one a little bit more, but they didn't. And I feel like that is like kind of a theme this season. It seems like it
takes them a while to get going.
It takes them a while to get going. They get an okay performance from a goaltender, but they don't score any goals then. And it's like, okay, well, you have to do that part too. And we can't seem to string, they'll score a lot of goals on a night where the goalie is crap. They can't score any goals on a night when the goalie is doing okay. It's like we need to string these 2 things together for a complete hockey game that you win. Like the other night when they just won a hockey game in a very standard, normal way. It was refreshing.
It was, listen, that's why it makes sense that Bet365 is our presenting sponsor, because I'm not doing a read yet. I'm just doing the whole never ordinary is their catchphrase.
Seriously,
and never ordinary is what this team is. Honestly, it makes a ton of sense. When they do the in-game odds on the broadcast, it's usually, I've seen them use a couple of books, I think, this year, but I think it's usually Bet365, and it's like, it makes sense that they sponsored the Flyers. Not just us, but the actual team, because why the hell wouldn't they? It's never ordinary here. Like, Charlie's article after the last game was like, hey, they played a normal game and just won. They just won a hockey game.
They just won a hockey game. For the first time this season, I think they just, like, won a hockey game, like a normal team.
Yeah, like in regulation, which has been very rare for them.
Scored more goals than the other team.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything weird.
Just
Didn't take 47 penalties for no reason. Just like a normal hockey game.
Yeah, but I'm very encouraged by this Kolosov thing. And listen, I really hope this Ersson injury doesn't drag out, just because for the right now, he's their best goalie.
Yes.
And I want to see him get a shot at being something going forward with this team. A lot because I just really, really respect what he did for them last year. Kind of like, yeah, my personal numbers are going to be garbage, but I'm going to do what the team needs me to do and go out there and see if I can continue playing, even though I've had no days off. And
I don't know if he had a choice, really.
No, I mean, but like,
but he did admirably.
He could have gone like, oh, my back.
That's true.
You know, like that can happen every now and then.
Johansson, actually.
Yeah, like just I don't think I got it tonight, coach. But he didn't, and I liked a lot of the things I saw out of him last year. Now he's kind of, with normal rest, continued that this year. But this does, whether it's a legit, okay, we're going to take a while injury, or why don't you take a couple weeks off while we assess these two guys, because if we send Kolosov down, he leaving. So, because that appears to be what's happening.
I'm still so annoyed by that.
It is very annoying. Tonight he played a very, very strong game, and I think overall he's looked fine.
Right.
But like, he's in no position to go, well,
bro,
clearly I belong in the NHL.
Just like, go be an AHL starter for a little bit until you're called up again in like
a week.
6 weeks.
Yeah, like our starter has been hurt twice. It's not Thanksgiving.
I know, like, hasn't it been demonstrated to you that you're going to get ample opportunity in the NHL in this organization, because
he has now played 4 games in the AHL and 4 games in the NHL.
Yeah, you're doing all right, dude.
You're fine, man. Yeah. But if that is the case, where it's maybe the Flyers will play it like, we think it's best for his development if he goes back. He's not quite ready to be living on his own here, whatever. Like, okay. But as long as Ersson is out, it is an opportunity to get a look at both guys without the immediacy of, we're going to lose him if we send him down. We get to look at both. And both have been playing pretty strong. Goalie controversy, Hinkle?
Oh, God, yes. We needed it. What were we going to do?
It's been too long.
Yeah, what were we going to do without one?
We've had goalie controversies, but it's just like, well, everyone sucks.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like,
which one is the least bad?
Who do we start today? I don't know, man. There's a wheel. Guess what? It's you. There's 4 spots. Guy out of crowd is in the 4th spot. But that's not the case right now. Right now, yeah. I mean, listen, he looks pretty good in the alumni games. Why not give him a start this year? I wonder, there's been conflicting reports on whether you can be an emergency backup if you've played in the NHL. And like one goalie who is retired was like, oh yeah, they told me I can't do it because I've played. And then like, I think Tuukka Rask was actually eligible when he was in town for Boston recently. And it was like, oh no, he can. They're like, they lied to that guy. They just didn't want it.
One of those like NHL rules where they're like, no.
Yeah. No, they make it up on the spot, much like goaltender interference.
Yeah, there aren't any actual rules. We just make them up.
Okay, I want to talk about that goaltender interference tonight. Obviously, it benefited the Flyers, benefited Kolosov.
Unimpeachable decision.
I guess it was interference. He's in the top of the crease, and that is where Kolosov is trying to get, and he can't. Yes. Tries to even swat him a little. They showed on the replay.
Yeah.
And then the puck comes in on the far side. He never really had a chance. Couldn't get set to see it. Is that a goal we want to be taking off the board? I guess.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, when Brian Boucher immediately is like, no, it's not a goal. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to trust Brian Boucher. Though. Like, he knows.
Like, that's the thing is every goalie thinks every goal shouldn't count.
Oh, I guess that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. But I do think that, like, if that is, it does seem like the one thing that is consistent is that if you're in the paint and you make contact with the goalie while he's trying to make a save and you're not pushed in. Like, that seems like the one that they almost always call back.
Because, like, even on non-scoring plays, so it just, team on power play, regrouping in their own zone, defenseman behind the net with the puck. Mm-hmm. If a attacking forward goes into the crease a little bit and the goalie decides to kind of just skate into him and lose his balance, they'll call that interference a lot. So, like, even if it's a minimal thing, I guess, based on the standard, that has to be goalie interference.
Bring back the crease rule. Listen,
I hated the crease rule.
Everyone hated the crease rule.
But at least it was black and white.
Yes, it was unambiguous. If any part of your skate, unless you're Brett Hull?
Yeah.
Bobby Hull?
Brett Hull?
Brett Hull.
Brett, yeah.
So, if any part of your skate is in the crease, it's not a goal.
Yeah.
That's it. We're not talking about it. We're not trying to figure it out. We're not spinning a wheel. Like, it is or it isn't.
I like how they then just went like, oh, this isn't a rule anymore. We just ended the Stanley Cup on this. Yeah, it's not a rule now, and it wasn't a rule for that game.
We don't want anyone to talk about it anymore.
We actually did this retroactively before the game. Yeah. No, it's I guess at least it would be black and white because it was dumb at the time. Like, how many John LeClaire goals got taken off the board?
Stupid.
Because he was just happened to be standing there.
Yeah.
But
maybe make the crease smaller and bring back the crease rule.
Yeah. Make it a square at least.
Yeah. Or make it like the top half of it like a little rainbow.
Yeah.
You're allowed in the little rainbow.
There's different levels.
Yeah.
Like a little, all the way at the top. You're little contact.
Yes.
And then as you get down,
all the way in,
less and less available.
Yeah.
Okay.
We solved this problem for you.
I think we just figured it out, NHL. We got to talk about Travis Sanheim as well.
Dude, what are they giving him?
Regulation game. Only a 60-minute. This was not a 65-minute game. 31:07. Picks up an assist in the game.
Unbelievable.
32 shifts. He had 3 shots on goal, 4 blocks, and a hit. And he's not just... there is an art. We've seen, like, Ryan Suter over the years, different veteran defensemen. Oh, yeah, they can play 35 minutes in, like, a playoff game especially. And it's... Yeah, man, I'm only activating, like, if it's a 2-on-1. Like, I'm only joining the play.
Right.
I'll be up at the top of the point, maybe. He is in the third period tonight, going on to, like, minute 29, minute 30, leading the rush. He's down low in front of the net. He is everywhere. We asked Charlie after last game, like, is this just a continuation of last year, or is it a different level? And he said different level. Listen, he's not perfect. That's obvious. But he's the best they have, and he's damn good right now.
He was also a goaltender tonight.
Yes. That's in the first period, saves a goal.
Yeah.
What was it? McKinnon found Druin down low or Rantanen down low.
Kolosov's all the way on the other side.
Kolosov beat clean off the pass. And there's Travis Sanheim. Not just a block, like any old block. He's in the crease, in the paint, denies.
Kicks the leg out like a goaltender and stops the goal.
Yeah.
Like,
denies Druin in the paint.
Everywhere tonight. And, like, no visible slowing down at all as the game goes on. And I just don't. I mean, it is a different gear. Like, I feel like Charlie is right. Like, it's extra. And I don't understand where it's coming from. And it certainly doesn't seem sustainable. So I hope Cam York comes back.
I mean, 30 minutes a night, not sustainable.
Seems unsustainable.
You can't.
But, I mean, he's keeping the Flyers afloat, essentially. Like, if he were not playing this well, this defense would be real bad.
I mean, that's 30-plus minutes in 3 of his last 5. And his last, let's call it 6 games, 28-21, 30-19, 30-23, 28-22. They backed him way down last game, all the way down to 27-38.
Might as well have taken the night off.
Yeah, and then tonight back up to 31-07.
Crazy.
And this, again, not an overtime game. 60-minute game, he played over half of it. And Torts did say, like, yeah, we're going to use him and Risto as much as we can. Risto, 22-30. Like, guess who was third tonight, Hanks?
Was it Helge?
I
have to say, I'm glad you brought him up.
We have to talk about him.
Pre-game, we were like, ooh, that third pair. He was good. And so now we have a second AHL defenseman.
Comes up, looks pretty good right away.
Markedly better than Yegor Zamula. So, like, how much longer are we going to keep this up? With
Zamula he may have gotten hurt tonight.
The problem has solved itself.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, like, who the hell comes up next? Louis Belpedio? Like, I have no idea who can possibly play at this point. They already traded Ronnie Attard. They don't seem all that interested. And I just looked up in his last 6 games, Adam Ginning, -6.
I'm done with that guy.
Maybe
he's off the list.
His last game, he was -3. Yeah. So it hasn't really been going all that great for Adam Ginning. But Helge Grans, 16-11 tonight. He's +2 in a game that they lost 3-2.
Got his first point.
That's pretty damn good. Gets his first career assist on one of the goals, 26 shifts, had 2 shots on goal, had a real good chance off that feed from Michkov, 2 blocks and a hit.
Got bumped up to the first pair at one point.
Yeah, it's him and Sanheim out there a lot. And I said, like, you know, that third pair, I don't know how much they're going to be out there together. And it's clear, like, Sanheim, 31 minutes. Next closest defenseman is Risto at 22:30. And then Grans at 16-11 is third. Like, they had 3 guys play 15:47 or fewer minutes tonight. That's quite something when you have one dude playing 31 minutes. And I want to talk more about Grans and this defense, but it's a perfect time to bring up Helge Grans because it's all about them first impressions. And you need some blue. That's fine. It's fine. I didn't have anywhere to go with where I was going. Listen, Helge Grans made his NHL debut tonight and made one hell of a first impression. And fair or not, you know, your performance will be graded from that first impression you make. You know, Ivan Fedotov, his first impression wasn't that great. We kind of gave up on him. Grans, can't wait to get back with Helge Grans because of that first impression. So you want the first one to be a lasting one with a strong, hard performance, especially early in the season. And that's where Blue Chew comes in, baby. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can stay hard and perform at your very best. So the next time someone says your game is all about speed, you can say, hold on. I'm here to play hard for all 60 minutes, maybe even into overtime. Maybe that's what's up with Travis Sanheim. Maybe he hit up BlueChew.com. What is Blue Chew? Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the fine folks at Blue Chew are putting their money where their mouth is. You can try Blue Chew's tablets free for a month and see for yourself. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you the confidence you need to get greasy and go hard into the crease. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. And while we're here, got to talk about Ace Hardware Home Services. Speaking of hardware, I should have had that queued up, ready to go. If you have a leaky pipe, if you've got an air conditioner issue, a leaky faucet, whatever it is, Ace Hardware Home Services has the person for it because they're not just the home hardware, the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home services and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, Ace is the place with the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, we're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love from the store, now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project today.
That was great.
That was. I'm always excited when we have Blue Chew when you're here, Kelly, because you want it so bad. The ad reads. You want the ad reads so bad. All right. Yeah, Helge Grans. Helge. She's losing it now that the read is over.
I'm fine.
That's great. He picks up an assist tonight. He hasn't really scored at all in a couple of years with the Phantoms. Comes over last year from LA in the Provorov trade, that 3-way deal. If you want to make a 3-way deal. No, he looked good tonight. I don't know. Like, he was assertive. The broadcast kept bringing up how often and how seamlessly. He seemed to be joining the rush and getting in on offense. I don't know if that's really who he is, but it was tonight, and they needed it. I want to see more of this guy. And
me too.
Considering maybe Zamula's hurt now, we might be seeing it whether Cam York or Jamie Drysdale or whoever is back sooner than later.
Yeah, as always, you don't want anyone to be hurt. I don't know why you have to say it out loud, but like that's just for reference. But like sometimes you do need the coach's hand to be forced a little bit. And if this opens up a spot on defense for Grans to get a little bit more of a look, I think that's a very good thing. And it would be really cool if we could see him and Andre in the lineup at the same time.
That would be
neat
nice
too. Which I'm assuming we could because Erik Johnson's got 1,000, so now he can, shuffle on off to the press box and eat the free M&Ms.
I don't know how forceful it was that because he's won a cup and done so much. Like I don't think it's a Keith Yandel situation where it's I have to play. Damn it!
I feel like we've been this is a joke.
It has been a running joke. Yeah. Like the Yandel thing. Like he's still bitter about it, and it's like, bro, you were one of the worst players I ever saw. Erik Johnson is nowhere near that level of incompetent. No. But just in terms of reasons to watch and what we're doing this season, Erik Johnson, this is probably his last year in the league.
Yes.
The Flyers are rebuilding. Yeah. I want to see a little bit more of these guys. Exactly. Emil Andre, he wasn't put on IR as far as I know. They just said he's out tonight. Yeah, he's just out, yeah. So maybe it's just because I think Grans was called up on an emergency basis. I don't even know if this goes against whatever it is. Like maybe they don't have to waive him now because I don't think he's waiver exempt based on his age. I'm not positive. But they called him up on an emergency basis, so perhaps that means he doesn't have to go back through waivers. I don't know how long he gets to stay, but I would like to see more. He's definitely a guy that has intrigued me just based on one game. It's 16 minutes, but I don't know. The defense as a whole, especially with Andre out, with York out, with Drysdale out, it's not as if a ton of these guys are, we need to see so much more Nick Seeler, so much more Risto. I like these guys, but
I know who they are.
They're 30.
Right. We know them.
Yeah, I know who they are. This is another intriguing player and one hell of a game tonight for a dude who has never played in the NHL before.
Exactly. The floor is Yegor Zamula, and if you can get above that, I want to see more of you, and I want to see less of him. And Grans absolutely reached that level.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really happy to see getting back to the offense. Owen Tippett is one thing. He just needs to get going. But I kind of know who he is. And if he just kind of has a down year, I'm not like, oh, no, this contract's a disaster. Like, I'm kind of more, he'll figure it out. I bet you he comes back next year and is the guy who can score 28 goals.
Right.
But Tyson Foerster, we really don't know who he is. He had a 20-goal season. That was nice. Some inconsistency. But winning battles, all that sort of stuff, being not quite sure if we want him on the penalty kill yet, but just a real glue guy in terms of what this team does, the way they compete. That was him from game one last season. That hasn't really been there a lot this season, but I think we're starting to see that turn around. And just another little example, the way he scores tonight. Yeah. Going hard into the paint, getting hard into the crease, getting greasy, going into the crease. But I'm happy to see him now, fourth of the season, goals in back-to-back games. I don't know about Tippett because we thought this was coming for a while and it hasn't. But Foerster, I think this is something to build on now. And if nothing else, it can get him off that fourth line.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm hoping now this kind of gets him up in the lineup a little bit because he doesn't belong on the fourth line. Like, that's just silly. But how Torts is, like, you have to play your way out of his doghouse. And I feel like, goals in 2 straight games ought to be enough to do it. But I guess we'll see.
Fourth among the forwards in ice time tonight, 16:05.
Right, so definitely getting some trust from the coach there. So that's good. But yeah, he is a guy that, like, he has to be good if this is going to work. He's one of the ones. He's got to be good. And so far this season, it's been a little bit like, I don't know. So if he can start, just like Tippett, stringing some of these games together, and so far he's already done better than Tippett in that regard because he's done it in 2 games. If we can see like a third game of him looking good, like more like what we saw last season, I think it bodes well for the team as a whole. And like if they're going to make any kind of push, because like oddly enough, I didn't even realize this, they're not really that far out of the playoffs, which is wild.
No, the East is very jumbled.
Yeah. So like if they're going to make some kind of push, it's going to be on the back of guys like Tyson Foerster finding their game and starting to score on a more regular basis. So,
and I'm going to talk about Matvei Michkov now. Going back to the end of October, start the season, he's playing 18 minutes a game, 20 minutes a game. And then around, it was the Boston game, October 29th, 15:36. He's at around like 13 to 15 minutes a night, really. Tonight, 19:47. Now, a lot of that is the last few minutes of the game where they had the goalie pulled and they call the timeout so they can get the same guys back out there. So that's one long time. But I do think it shows that the coach is kind of like, okay, got to get him back near the top. He gives us our best chance. And I have said, like, I don't need him playing 20 minutes every night.
Yeah.
I don't need him with top pair matchups, and that's what's going to be when he's with Sean Couturier. Like, Coots is going to play against Nathan MacKinnon a lot. But they need Mish.
Yes.
And right now, at least the line he started on with Cates and Richard, I like him with Richard. I like that line with Paling just because you have so much speed there to go along with Mish's skill. Noah Cates is a really strong fourth liner. I don't see what he does, though, to actually help Matvei Michkov.
He does not.
And that's a conversation we had during the game.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about a lot of these wingers, Foerster, Tippett, Mish, whoever. We expect certain production out of them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if your centers are Noah Cates and Scott Lawton and Ryan Paling, what the hell can we expect out of these guys when their centers don't match the role that they need to be playing?
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, we talk about the centers all the time. And, like, I know that they have no centers. But for some reason, until you said that, like, it never clicked in my head, like, oh, maybe Owen Tippett can't score a goal because he doesn't have a center.
Yeah, like
he needs a center.
We have to play Couturier so much.
Yeah.
Because he's the only guy who can win a faceoff, 67% tonight.
Right.
He's the only guy who really creates havoc in front and does a lot of the little things, but he has no offense left in him.
No.
It's just not there. And if that's the case, like, and it's him and Tippett and Konechny, like, well, how do we? And he's the only center. Like, he's the only one who's good at all. So it's a real conundrum. But maybe Charlie has the answers for us. That's right. Joining us from the Wells Fargo Center, it is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, thoughts on the game and any standout comments from the post-game availabilities?
Yeah. The players were pretty tight-lipped, understandably so. It was a frustrating game. They come close. I thought there were moments in those last few minutes where I thought they had the game. At least had a point. It looked like they were buzzing, looked like they were ready to break through and tie the game, and they came real close. Owen Tippett has an opportunity. Sam Girard deflects it right near the net. That was staring at a wide open net, so they got close. But I thought John Tortorella's comments after the game were probably the most interesting because it seemed kind of like he was battling with himself in terms of, coming at it from two different angles of analysis. Because angle number one, and he straight up said it, he said, look, that team over there, that's an elite team. That's what we're aiming for, and we're not there. We're not as quick as they are. We're not as talented as they are, and we know that. And ultimately, that's the reason why we struggle with their quickness. And then I followed up, and I was like, that's fair, but after Owen Tippett scores that goal, you guys didn't seem like you were having any trouble with their quickness. If anything, you guys were outplaying them and outskating them. And John Tortorella basically said, you're right, and I don't know why. And then he said he had a really, really good money quote because he started bringing up the mistakes that the team made in the game. He brought up, Bobby Brink's penalty that kills most of the 4-minute penalty.
Yep.
I think Tyson Foerster had a penalty that he mentioned, a high sticking penalty. Travis Konechny, it was one thing that Travis Konechny did say after the game that was eye opening. He without prompting, took all the blame for Colorado's first goal, that he blew the coverage and he feels terrible about it. And one of the reporters brought that up to Tortorella, and Tortorella basically said, yeah, he should feel terrible about it because it was a dumb play, and we expect more out of Travis Konechny than to chase the best player in the world and leave another guy wide open. And what he essentially said, what the quote John Tortorella said was, he's like, a lot of the game I liked as we kept on going, but goddamn do we do stupid stuff. It's just so aggravating, the stuff that we do that should be out of our game. And I think that's the push-pull. Like, Torts on some level wants to just say Colorado's just better. And they are. They are just better than the Flyers. However, if the Flyers were to remove all of the dumb stuff from their game, they might have won this one. They might have won this one despite the fact that the Avalanche are a better team than them. And I think that's the push-pull frustration, both from Tortorella and from, I suspect, the fans. Because, yeah, the fans know that the Avs are a better team than the Flyers. The Avs have a chance to win the Cup. The Flyers, if all breaks right, they might make the playoffs. That said, they were in this game. And, yeah, they're in this game because they make a push in the third period. But if they don't make those mistakes, maybe they don't need to make the push in the third period. Maybe it's a 1-goal game instead of a 3-goal game, and all you need is one Owen Tippett wrist shot late in the third, just like they got against Tampa, and then the game goes in overtime and you can win it in a shootout. So, yes, Colorado's better, but the Flyers made a lot of mistakes that made it easy for them to get the kind of lead that they got.
Charlie, real odd occurrence during the game tonight. Referee Mitch Dunning gets into a collision with Josh Manson, ends up being stretchered off. Very scary moment, honestly. Yeah. It was tough. At one point, I think Ashlyn Sullivan called it a serious back injury. I'm not sure if there's been some updates, and he's neurological things are right, and he's got movement in his extremities and stuff. So at least like disaster has been averted. But I just want to know if you've ever been part of like something where this odd, where a referee gets carted off. And did the boys mention like there being any difficulty in having to like rev it back up after a prolonged stoppage?
Yeah, I'll be honest. The guys really weren't asked about the issue. I think it was more of a topic for the Colorado locker room. Number one, because they won, so it's easier to talk to guys who are in a good mood. Number two, because it was Josh Manson, a Colorado player who has the collision. So they were asked more about that. I noticed that the energy in the arena got sucked out for a good 5-6 minutes after the play. Understandably so. Have I dealt with anything like this? No, I really haven't dealt with an official. Like I've covered games where officials got hurt. Yeah. Where there was a collision and a guy gets helped off the ice. I've never been to a game where the official got stretchered off the ice. That was a new one. According to the NHL PR, it seems like things are relatively okay. John Tortorella said that he was told, and this was, I think, what really scared them, and probably why he went to the hospital, why they're taking very close care of him, is that apparently, according to Tortorella, he couldn't feel his arms. Oh, so that was, I think, the fear. Like it seemed like he could move them, but he had lost feeling in them. So that is the concern about, is it a spinal injury or something like that? So, all thoughts to him. I'm hoping he's doing okay. I'm sure everyone is. It was scary. Seems like he's avoided, like paralysis, I guess, fingers crossed. That said, not being able to feel your arms, that doesn't happen randomly. Like something is wrong, and hopefully it can be medically addressed and fixed.
Chuck, it was Aleksei Kolosov's third start, fourth appearance tonight. What did you think of his game?
Meh. It's funny. Like John Tortorella was very complimentary of it. And there were a few people on Twitter that hit me with mentions of how great they thought he played. I thought he was fine. I didn't think he was incredible. The thing with Kolosov is he does look better than Fedotov because it's not as choppy. He doesn't have those moments where he just looks bad in the way that Fedotov does. That said, gave up 3 goals. One of those goals was a low shot that never even left the ice, and I don't think got deflected. I don't know. I'd like for him to squeeze that one. I don't think he was bad. He was fine. He was not the reason why they lost this game. I also don't think he was so good that I think he should jump Fedotov back in the order again. So, I'm going to write about him in my piece after the game, but don't really have a lot to say other than meh. He was okay. He didn't have the kind of game that I'm like, oh man, he's forced his way back into the into the battle for starts. Like, no, when Sam Harrison's back, he's the number one, and I'm Fedotov for the last three games has been quite good, and I think he's earned. This game did nothing to change my opinion that Fedotov should be above Kolosov in the pecking order, and Kolosov probably would be best served going down to the AHL. Now, whether he is willing to go to the AHL is another story entirely, and I have an issue with the idea of like, well, we have to keep him up because this kid is strong-arming us into keeping him up. Like, I have an inherent problem with that, especially when Fedotov is playing pretty well. That said, they might just try to keep kicking the can down the road because if Fedotov turns back into a pumpkin, it's good to have a backup plan in Kolosov. And if he goes back to the KHL, you no longer have that backup plan. Then your backup plan is, I guess now it's Cal Peterson because Makaniemi got banged up in the last game for the Phantoms. So it probably makes sense to just sort of keep kicking the can down the road and hope that something cracks. But if Fedotov keeps playing as solid as he's been playing, to me, I don't think Kolosov showed enough tonight that he should jump back ahead of Fedotov. That's my opinion.
I'm telling you, Charlie, Parker Gagan, he's going to get a start this year.
He doesn't even have an NHL contract. They have to sign him to a contract to get him a start.
Are you making up names?
Yes, I am.
I thought that was a made-up name.
Speaking of the Phantoms, Chuck, Helge Grans makes his NHL debut tonight, did some positive things, picks up his first career point with an assist. What did you see out of the Flyers' latest call-up?
Yeah, he was good. I mean, I thought, honestly, for the most part in the first two periods, he didn't jump out at me as, like, especially great. He just wasn't jumping out at me negatively. He was having one of those classic, like, if I'm not noticing him, he must be having a pretty good game because he's not making mistakes. And then there were other guys on the defense that were making mistakes. So it's like, well, I guess if you're ranking the guys, he's pretty high up. Then Yegor Zamula gets banged up, so he's out of the rotation. And they start giving Grans more shifts. He gets the first shift of the third period with Travis Sanheim. I think he ended up finishing third in ice time among defensemen on the team with about 16 minutes. John Tortorella spoke after the game as if he's going to get more looks. Now, whether that's because they got early indications that Zamula is more banged up than they wish he was, I'm not sure. Or if Tortorella just liked him. He's like, yeah, he deserves a couple more games. He noted that similar to Andre, and I think he very much believes this about Emil Andre, he said there are some defensemen in particular who are just better in the NHL than they are in the AHL because the game's more structured. The teammates are better. There's less chaos because just the players on the whole are better. He's wondering, I think, if Helge Grans might be one of those guys. Tonight, he looked good. I don't think he looked amazing. He looked good. He had a good start. He had good underlying numbers and got a fair amount of shifts in the third period and didn't look out of place. So for a debut, especially for a defenseman who plays the way he plays, which is a little like no frills, not a lot of flash, but just, smooth skating with size, he was good. And he probably does deserve another start. We'll see what happens with York and Drysdale because I do think they missed, especially Cam York tonight in this game, in terms of moving the puck up ice, in terms of quick transition, and just in terms of general puck carrying ability. Grans doesn't bring that. He's more of a steadying support guy. So if York and Drysdale can play, then maybe Grans goes back down. But if neither of them can play and Zamula's banged up, then yeah, Grans is definitely staying in. And hey, maybe even if one of them can play, maybe Grans stays in. Maybe they bring Zamula out even if he's healthy because Grans deserved the start. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, York, Andre, Drysdale, they have no one who can move the puck outside of Travis Sanheim. And that's my last question before we get to stars. Charlie, it's becoming a regular thing now that we just praise Travis Sanheim. I don't even know if I have a question, but 31 minutes, over 31 minutes in a 60-minute game, picks up an assist. Again, not perfect, but no one's going to be perfect playing over half the game. I'm out of words for Sanheim. He's just been great this year for the most part. What are you saying?
Yeah, he's been good. This game wasn't, I think, his strongest. His underlying numbers were pretty bad, but I thought in the third period especially, he took charge. He was making plays. He was jumping up into the play, especially in the offensive zone. He looked like the guy from the last few games in the third period. And there's probably a strong correlation about the fact that the Flyers were their best in the third period when Travis Sanheim was playing like the Travis Sanheim from the last week. So, look, Sanheim's been great. They're obviously leaning on him a lot, probably more than they should, but everybody's hurt. Like, Cam York is the other horse on this blue line. He's been out for a few weeks. Drysdale is a guy you got to shelter, but at least he can move the puck. Andre had been playing really well. Now he's out for however knows how long. Like, they seem to be acting like it was minor, but who knows? As long as those guys are out, Sanheim's going to have to take on a ton of minutes. The hope is that that won't go on that much longer, because I don't think him playing 30 minutes a night is sustainable. But in the here and now, he's doing everything he can to help the team, and you got to give him credit.
Yeah, and like, while he may have had, some rough underlyings tonight, once again, Colorado has 3 guys who are better than anyone on the Flyers by a lot. So it just kind of is what it is. All right, Chuck, hit us with those 3 stars, beginning with star number 3.
Yeah, star number 3, I guess I'll go with Helge Grans. I thought he was good. Good debut. Obviously gets his first NHL point. He's getting, heavy amount of minutes, more minutes than I think they expected to give him. Just a strong all-around showing by the rookie, and might have earned himself at least one more game. So for that reason, he's my 3rd star.
Star number 2.
Star number 2, I'll go with 1 Casey Middling stats. I've long given him crap. Thought that he was a bit overrated in his draft class, and I always got a kick out of that nickname. But he looks like he's found a role, as the 2C on that team. Certainly a dramatic upgrade for them over their former 2C Ryan Johansson, who still is never, will never have actually played a game for the Philadelphia Flyers. We'll see how that contract termination thing works itself out in the end. But Middlestat was good. Obviously scores a big goal that ultimately becomes the game winner when the Flyers have their comeback. So I'm going to go with Middling stats. His stats were pretty good tonight. 2nd star.
Charlie, it's funny. Like, before the 3rd goal and Druin got on the score sheet, I read off all the names and was like, the worst player I just named was Casey Middlestat, who would be this team's 1C. So that's just kind of the way it went tonight. Finally, star number 1.
Yeah, star number 1's Cale Makar. I mean, he scores 2 goals. You could argue he should have scored 3 because that, while I do think that is interference by the letter of the law in today's NHL, it's not a very strong interference call. Like, are you just not allowed to go in the crease now? I guess not. I guess that's the way they are interpreting the interference rule now. But Makar's great. He's one of at least one of the 10 most talented players in the NHL right now. You could probably debate on whether he's one of the 10 best players in the NHL, but in terms of pure talent, he's certainly in the top 10, and he showed that tonight. When him and McKinnon are on the ice at the same time, it's like a video game. It's like a cheat code. And obviously they hooked up for 1 goal. They hooked up for a 2nd goal that ultimately didn't count. But Makar's a great player. He's a fantastic defenseman, and he looked every bit the part of it tonight. First star of the game, Cale Makar.
All right, that is Charlie O'Connor coming to us live from the Wells Fargo Center. You'll actually be in studio with us tomorrow for the 4 o'clock show, so make sure everyone tunes in for that right here on the YouTube page. And until then, Charlie, you enjoy your night.
All right, bye, guys.
All right, tell you that is Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, with his live report. And before we wrap up tonight's show, I got to tell you about our friends at Rite Aid. Help protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults aged 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine. That's right, the pneumonia vaccine. It used to be 65 and older, but the CDC lowered the age recommendation to 50 and older. As millions of people get pneumonia every year, it's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when germs that cause respiratory disease typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Some people get pneumonia, they just have some mild symptoms, but others experience serious complications, and the vaccine is one of the best ways to help keep yourself healthy, and it's usually no cost with your insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. Unsure of what vaccines you may need? Just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today. And while we're here, one of the reasons you might want to get that vaccine is because there's so many fun events coming up, and the best way to get into those events, it's game time, baby. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Now, it's the newest feature. They want me to make sure to feature that one, tell you all about it. It's the priority. but all the old Game Time features still exist that made it the #1 secondary ticket marketplace. The all-in pricing, where you can toggle this feature on, show the total upfront, no surprise fees at checkouts. That is the most frustrating part of trying to get tickets on the secondary market. You pick it, you like your seat, you know where you're sitting, you think you know what you're paying, and then boom, ticket price like doubles at the end. Not the case with the all-in pricing. You get the seat view, a panoramic view from your seat, so there's no surprise there either. The lowest price guarantee, the Game Time ticket coverage, all of the best customer service on the ticket marketplace. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Well done, Henkel. Well done. Maybe I do want to get to Ovechkin if we can.
Yeah.
Like maybe one of those things you want to get is a ticket for that February game where right now Ovi is on pace to break the record in Philly. But let's
need it to happen.
Let's hit those super chats now and see where we are at the end, because we only have a few minutes. Okay, I thought I saw more, but that's cool. I just see like a couple, and then I'm like, oh, there must be so many. I saw a few, but I just happen to see those. But we do have some. One from Will Wadsworth here. What are your thoughts on letting Ersson stay on IR for an extended period of time and letting the backup battle go on until January?
Well, that's a long time.
Something tells me if we were to hook Will up to a lie detector test, he would be a pro-tank person.
Yeah.
And listen, that is a completely valid point of view. I think they should be very cautious with Ersson. Like, if they think this is a 1 week thing, let him sit 2. If it's a 2 week thing, let him sit 3. Yeah. Make sure he's healthy. Because you know what can happen with groin injuries? They can reappear all season if you don't make sure it's healed. Yeah. And no one wants that, because this year is very much about evaluating Sam Ersson. That said, it's very much about evaluating Sam Ersson. I want to see what he has too. Yeah. Because they're going to have to address the goalie situation eventually. Right. And while, we're all maybe somewhat just going, well, none of it matters till Zvragin gets here.
That's my general
That's
feeling.
like 4 years from now.
I choose to believe it's not.
I don't think, was it Ska? I don't think they're letting him go.
Know. I'm terrified that he's going to be another one. We were like, no.
That's the
he's not leaving.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's the thing. Like
good.
they've already been like, oh yeah, this is different. Like with Demidov, they were like, oh no, this isn't the Mish situation. No. Where it's like Rottenberg doesn't really like him. He's on Sochi. We're not even using him on the big club. He's basically on our feeder program. Sure, take him here. And who knows what palms had to be greased to make all of it work. If you want to grease your palm. Anyway.
I was going to make a groin joke, but I didn't.
And now, like, they were like, oh, no, we're not letting Demidov go. A 19-year-old goalie, they had him loaned to Sochi. Yeah. They brought him up and he's their #1. This is one of those clubs that's trying to win the championship, the Gagarin Cup or whatever the hell it is every year. I just think we need to... He's going to be like 24 or 25.
Or not. They wouldn't let Fedotov.
Yeah, like they didn't want to let Fedotov come over. Like... They're trying to get Kolosov back, I think.
Well, you know.
Like, I just, I would like to see them carry 3 goalies as long as possible. Yeah. And as long as there's a question about Ersson, keep him out.
Sure.
Because why let what happened last year happen again? Where it's like, there's half of his games he played, we can't even really judge him on because he's hurt. It's just not fair. Like, keep him out as long as he should, but he also needs to be evaluated too.
Yes.
We need to know what he is.
You don't want him to get like cold and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to play. So I see where your head is at, but also no.
But I do want to see these guys. Like, I want to see more while Ersson is out. Sure. I don't want it to be like 3 or 4 to 1 for Fedotov. I want to see them alternate.
I think it depends on what they look like.
Yeah, I mean, until one really sucks or one really dominates. Yeah. But before that,
I hear you.
All right, let's hit Corey's super chat now. 31 minutes for Sanheim tonight. Seth Jones was leading the league in minutes, and he's on IR now.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like a great trend. This isn't sustainable.
It's not good.
Like it's really cool that he's doing it, and he's looked pretty damn good in these minutes for the most part tonight. Like Charlie said, not a standout game for Sanheim by any means, but like he's still making some things happen. It can't go on much longer. It sounds like at least one of the defensemen will be back kind of soon. Hopefully it's York, because he's the one that can carry a load too. And hopefully you can split them up because other defensemen have stepped up. Are you laughing at carry a load?
I'm sorry.
He is hopefully with like guys like Risto stepping up. Hopefully Emil Andre isn't out that long. Yes. Dudes that the coach actually trusts, because like he clearly doesn't trust, even if Zamula's healthy. Like, all right, he got banged up tonight. Maybe he misses a game, but even if he's healthy, coach doesn't want to play him a ton.
Yeah,
they need the guys who have stepped up in York's absence to continue to be good. So hopefully we can split up Sanheim and York and evenly distribute these minutes a little bit better.
Yes.
And not kill one of our defensemen.
No, this is one of those things where it's like, I feel like in the moment we're all like, this is cool. Like, look how great
it's a cool
Sanheim's
thing that's happening.
doing. Like but it's like when like you hear those stories about like a kid has to sell all of his toys so like his mom can go to the doctor, and everyone's like, wait, this isn't actually a nice story. This is actually really bad that he had to sell all of his toys. And so it's like, it's actually really bad that we have to play Travis Sanheim 30 minutes a night. It's actually not good that we're doing it.
Yeah, and like he's playing 31. Risto, his regular partner, 22. And no one else is over like 16 and a half.
It's not good.
Like, it shows you that the coach just doesn't trust anyone but Travis Sanheim and kind of Rasmus Ristolainen.
And like, fair?
Yeah, no, he's not wrong.
No, there's nothing he can do.
It's not like I'm like, oh, Torts, what the hell are you doing?
No, he's
like,
right.
No, I don't, like Eric Johnson, he's at game 1,000, and like based on his age, he could have done it a lot sooner. But he's been injury plagued for half of his career. Like, we how much can we depend on 37-year-old Eric Johnson? Probably not that much longer. All right, Gary B is up next. Gary B. Bill, can we send the entire Flyers team Blue Chew? Flyers need to play hard all game, not just the last 5 minutes.
Full 60.
BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their medical professionals, and all of a sudden, $5 shipping. That's all it takes.
That's nothing.
I do hate this was a hallmark of some of those Giroux era teams.
Yes.
Like, and they made the playoffs based on so many like games getting pushed to at least overtime, maybe winning in the 3-on-3, maybe losing in a shootout, but whatever. But the desperation, goalie pulled, it makes for a fun final 5 minutes. But the game is 60 minutes long.
Yeah.
What if we didn't get dominated in the first period, you know?
No.
Like that's the tonight the Flyers shots by period. 8 in the first, 5 in the second, and then 13. So that's what? Yeah, they had 26. So they equaled their total in the third period that they had from the previous 2 periods. Yeah. That's not great. Like again, Colorado's awesome. Even though they're a little injury depleted, they don't have all their guys, they don't have the depth they did. McKinnon and Makar are legitimately at least in the running for best at their position.
Yes.
And like most outstanding player, either of them could win it. Mikko Rantanen, also great. They have a few other really good dudes. But this has been a little bit of a trend for them recently. Like, oh, we played hard at the end. Well, maybe do a little more throughout the game.
That's the thing. Like, we talk about that Buffalo game that was just a normal
game
win, and like
just beat a bad team.
Were the last 10 minutes of this game like super fun to watch, and I got pretty amped up, and I was like really excited that they might tie the game. It would have been nice if they were just winning the whole time.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would also be exciting in a different way.
It would be. And now we get to Vince has first a comment. Thank you for a great show. And that's where I want to let everyone know We appreciate those of you watching on TV. We had a great show. I think you all had a great show as well. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show. And Vince, as he always does, closes out the Super Chats with, why not us? Well, I think we got...
I like it on a loss, too. I love the attitude.
We got another pretty good preview of why not us, because Colorado has like 5 guys who could easily bump anyone on this team out of their top line spot.
We just are 1 to 3 centers away.
Yes.
From
2 superstars.
Yes.
Now, I will say, Mish now, this thing needs to end with him, like, on the third line. And
I will say
they just need to get him with a center who can get him the puck, whether they need to bring Morgan Frost back in. And I'm done with Morgan Frost as a concept. Like, I don't want Morgan Frost anymore. I hope I hope they trade him.
We need his body.
But if you don't want to play Mish on the first line with Coots, and I think there's a good reason not to, you need somebody who can match his skill set. And I'm not saying Frost is anywhere near as good. He's not.
He's the only
but
one
he's
with
a
the potential.
Skilled player who might be able to do some things. And you look at this power play. Remember when it was good?
I do.
Now, listen, they didn't really give themselves a chance to show whether they were good or bad tonight because they canceled 2 of their 3 power plays out
they were like
by taking penalties of their own. But I need to see a little bit more, and maybe that's bringing Morgan Frost back in. I don't know. Again, don't care about Morgan Frost individually.
No.
But as a pair
in the aggregate.
As a pair with Mish, it's like, does anyone else even make sense?
And now we've lost a game. So
they lost. They didn't play particularly well.
It's a perfect opportunity for Tortorella to get over himself and put him back in the lineup.
It's just like, who we taking out? Like, I don't want it to be Tony Dick, and that's like the most obvious.
I would say Kate. Has Kate's been doing anything for you?
10 minutes tonight. He that group at the bottom. Richard played 10:04, Kate's 10:07, Brink 10:19. I think any one of those guys could come out of the lineup next game. I don't want it to be Tony Dick because he was still making stuff happen tonight. Had a great feed. I think he set up Farabee, maybe. I can't remember, but it was a really good feed from him. He had a couple of plays he made, more than some other guys. But Brink or Cates, absolutely.
Yeah, Tony Dick has a thing where he has no and I don't know if it's because he's not that good or because he's not used to being an a regular NHL player, really. But when he flies his zone, there's no hesitation with him. He doesn't hold up and wait to see what's going to happen. He just goes in and does stuff. And that is A, fun, and B, he seems to be doing the stuff that he's doing well enough to actually make stuff happen with the players around him. And he's been really fun to watch. And there's absolutely no reason to take him out. And I don't think that Torts would anyway, because I think Torts loves him, which fair.
Yeah.
We're all growing very fond of Anthony.
And that is pretty much all the time we have for you. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk a little Ovi.
Let's do it.
With this pace that he's on now. But he right now leads the league in goals.
39.
Alex Ovechkin leads the league in goals.
He is an animal.
It's just absolutely insane. All right, that is all the time we have for you on the PHLY Flyers postgame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. That'll do it for us. Make sure you're subscribed right here on the YouTube. We'll be live tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It's going to be me, you, and Charlie, the whole gang in studio. So hit that reminder bell so you don't miss the live show. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. It's where I do all my in-game tweeting. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. All right, my name is Bill Matz. That is Kelly Hinkle. Until tomorrow, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.